Yo, what's up guys? This video is content some of you may be familiar with since I've put this together before. However, with new plot developments and an impending climax in the My Hero Academia story, I decided to reproduce the video in a more streamlined fashion with the information more clear cut. So the theory I am presenting today is not new. Again, I've done a video on this in the past, however it's a fun theory and My Hero is currently my favorite series, so I love to speculate. The theory here is that All For One, the nemesis of All Might and mentor to Tomura Shigaraki, could very well be Deku's father that has been missing in action the entirety of the series. Now before I go any further, I wanted to let anime only watchers know that this video will contain manga spoilers, so if you wish to avoid these, I suggest exiting the video until further story progression. With that being said, let's begin. The first thing I wanted to explore here was Kohei Horikoshi's love for Star Wars and how it has influenced his story. From locations like Tatooine Station and Kamino, to attack names like Mirio's Phantom Menace, or even the cover of volume 20 of the manga, we see Kohei drip feed us his fanboyism for the Star Wars universe. However, those influences run deeper than what's easily visible on the surface. Quite possibly, the biggest clue here has to do with characters and their relationships to one another. Let's start by looking at the design of Nana Shimura, the holder of One for All before All Might and Tomura's grandmother. Looking at the design of her hair, it draws a striking resemblance to Qui-Gon Jinn of the Star Wars universe. If Nana could be considered Qui-Gon Jinn, then quite naturally All Might would be Obi-Wan and Deku Luke Skywalker by this chain of relationships. Next, let's look at All For One. His face covered in scar tissue similar to Darth Vader, as well as his helmet being influenced by the design of Darth Vader's helmet. Anyone familiar with Star Wars can immediately connect the dots since Darth Vader was revealed to be Luke Skywalker's father. While on the topic of relationships, let's not forget that during All Might and All For One's confrontation, he mentioned that All Might took something from him. Granted, this statement could have a wide array of meanings, but based on the vagueness of those words, it's apparent Kohei is attempting to hide something. All For One could very well have been referencing Deku, knowing that he is under All Might's tutelage. Let's also note how crazy that would be for narrative purposes. The grandson of the former One For All holder has been cultivated into an absolute monster of destruction, while the son of the worst villain in history has been transformed into a beacon of hope. Next, let's move on to Dr. Ujiko, the doctor that initially diagnosed Deku as being quirkless, who is now confirmed to have been working for All For One this entire time. With All For One having the ability to steal quirks and the amount of quirk theft and redistribution that has been going on, the theory here is that the doctor, under orders from All For One, had been stealing quirks from children for use in Nomu experiments. To back this up, during the Hero Killer Stain arc, Shigaraki summoned 3 Nomu to attack Hosu City. One of those Nomus were winged and snatched Deku out of the crowd. This Nomu has all but been confirmed to be Tsubasa, the boy that used to hang out with Deku and Bakugo when they were younger. To add fuel to the fire, Tsubasa is the grandson of Dr. Ujiko, meaning he took his grandson and used him for Nomu experiments. With that being said, it's very possible Deku was born with a quirk and it was stolen during his diagnosis. Something that is not out of the realm of possibility is that All For One had been keeping tabs on his son and had Deku's quirk stolen as a measure to keep the chances of him becoming a pro hero and meeting his end at the hands of a villain low. It's kinda cool to think that maybe All For One has a sweet spot for Deku and his mother and was trying to keep them out of harm's way. After all, we know that Deku's mom isn't exactly a fan of his hero escapades. Also, her relationship with Deku's father is estranged from what we see in the story. All we know about Deku's father is that he took a work post abroad and has a fire-breathing quirk. With what we know about All For One, it is extremely in the realm of possibility he possesses a fire-breathing quirk and led a double life undercover until his battle with All Might that left him visibly scarred, hence the absence under the excuse of taking a job abroad. Let's circle back to All For One's comments during his battle with All Might again. His words about All Might taking something from him could be referencing his ability to maintain a relationship with his family, Deku and his mother. The final piece of potential evidence I would like to provide here is in relation to the vestiges Deku has experienced as his mastery of One For All grows. Back during the school tournament was when Deku first experienced it and All Might informed him they were only visions and he could not interact with them. Fast forward to chapter 193, and Deku has a full-on interaction with the original holder of One For All, the blood brother of All For One. He tells Deku to be careful because they have already passed the singularity point. After telling All Might about this, All Might wonders what the singularity is and if some external factor in Deku has triggered this, since to our current knowledge, Deku is the only one able to interact with the Vestiges. Moving on to chapter 209, we see All For One in his cell mentioning he can hear his little brother's voice, obviously after Deku's first interaction with the Vestiges. Now after this, we get the big reveal that Deku will be able to utilize the previous quirks of the original One For All users, something no user has accomplished before. This is linked to the quirk singularity theory, meaning Deku's body has become a proper host for the One For All quirk, activating all of its features, so to speak. Deku's body being naturally able to handle multiple quirks furthers the connection. And what makes Deku different? Why was he able to reach the singularity point? Contrary to All Might's belief of it being an external factor, I say it could be an internal one, and I chalk it up to the same reason All For One was able to hear the voice of his brother again. All For One originally gave the stockpile quirk to his brother, so having that connection makes sense. With Deku, I believe it has to do with a blood relation, and since the singularity point was passed, a connection has now been made between All For One, the Vestiges, and Deku. This blood relation would of course make the first user Deku's uncle. If you really think, it's actually poetic for Deku to be the one to put an end to the sins of his father, which at this point would be the fostering of Shigaraki into a monster unlike anything they've yet to see, especially since this is essentially a family matter and the first user was trying to put a stop to his wicked brother. The One For All quirk has come full circle. So what do you guys think? Any other tidbits that can add to this theory? I would definitely love to hear from you guys. As always, give me a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this in-depth video, and be sure to follow on all the social links below. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you guys next time.